The vastness of space stretched endlessly before the Earthship Odyssey, its silver hull gleaming against the stars. Inside the bridge, Captain Ava Sinclair stood at the helm, her expression calm and composed, though the weight of the moment pressed heavily on her shoulders. This was it, the moment humanity had waited for. After decades of searching, Earth had finally made contact with the Galactic Assembly, a coalition of advanced alien civilizations. Their ship, the largest humanity had ever built, was headed toward a designated neutral station orbiting just beyond Jupiter. It was Earth's first official diplomatic mission, and everyone on board knew how crucial this moment would be. A single misstep could seal Earth's fate before they even had a chance to stand among the stars. "Approaching rendezvous point, Captain," said Lieutenant Sam Patel, the young communications officer, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "All stations report status," Captain Sinclair ordered, her voice steady. "Navigation is locked," confirmed Tom Reeves, the ship's navigator. "Defensive systems on standby," added Lieutenant Patel. "Though, let's hope we don't need them." Sinclair gave a small, tight smile, though the tension in her chest didn't ease. She nodded toward the forward view screen. "Let's make history, people." The bridge crew settled into their stations as the neutral station came into view, a massive construct of spinning rings and glowing lattices suspended in the void. It was beautiful, yet intimidating, its sheer size dwarfing the Odyssey and making the pride of Earth's fleet seem small by comparison. And then the alien ship materialized. It shimmered into existence like a mirage becoming solid, a crystalline behemoth that radiated with alien energy. The intricate design glinted under the distant sun, casting eerie patterns across the Odyssey's hull. The ship was not just large, it was immense, easily 3 times the size of Earth's largest vessel. It was a stark reminder that humanity was a newcomer to this cosmic dance, a toddler among ancient giants. The Odyssey's bridge fell silent as they took in the sight. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of their insignificance pressing down on them. "My God," whispered Dr. Samantha Lee, the ship's xenobiologist. "It's beautiful." Captain Sinclair remained composed, though she could feel the doubt creeping into her crew. They had known they would encounter advanced civilizations, but seeing it with their own eyes was something else entirely. A voice, smooth, melodic and condescending, suddenly filled the bridge. It resonated through the Odyssey's communication systems, carrying with it a tone of thinly veiled mockery. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the voice said. "We are the Galathians, representatives of the Galactic Assembly. Welcome to the galactic community." Sinclair straightened. "This is Captain Ava Sinclair of the Earthship Odyssey. We come in peace and friendship." There was a pause, a deliberate silence, heavy with unspoken meaning. Then came a soft chuckle, low, melodic and dismissive. "Peace and friendship," the Galathian voice repeated, dripping with amusement. "How quaint." The words sent a ripple of discomfort through the bridge. Captain Sinclair narrowed her eyes but kept her composure. Another voice joined the first, this one deeper, with an air of superiority. "Tell us, Captain Sinclair, how long did it take your kind to develop faster-than-light travel?" The question was unexpected, and Sinclair hesitated before answering. "We achieved FTL capabilities just 5 years ago." There was another burst of laughter, this time from multiple voices, as if the question had been a joke meant for their amusement. "5 years," one of the aliens said, barely containing their mirth. "Oh, you poor, primitive creatures. We mastered faster-than-light travel millennia ago. Your technology must seem quite miraculous to you." The crew bristled at the blatant condescension. Dr. Lee clenched her jaw, anger simmering beneath her otherwise calm exterior. Captain Sinclair, however, remained steady. "We may be new to interstellar travel," she said, her voice level, "but we are eager to learn and grow." Another chuckle echoed through the speakers. "Learn and grow? Perhaps as our pets." The alien voice was thick with mockery. "That might be all you're good for." A palpable tension filled the Odyssey's bridge. The crew exchanged angry glances, their pride wounded by the dismissive arrogance of their alien counterparts. Lieutenant Patel's hands tightened into fists at his console. "Easy," Sinclair muttered, her gaze never leaving the viewscreen. "We keep this professional." Dr. Lee stepped forward, her curiosity pushing past her indignation. "We've made significant strides in multiple scientific fields. Surely there are areas where we can contribute." The alien voice was thick with disdain. "Contribute? Your science is amusing, like a child's finger painting compared to our masterpieces. But please, do continue to entertain us with your quaint ideas." Captain Sinclair could feel the anger simmering beneath her crew's composed exteriors. But she knew they had to endure the humiliation, for now. Patience was a weapon, and it was one she intended to wield. While the Galathians continued their condescending remarks, Lieutenant Patel worked quietly at his station, recording and analyzing the alien transmissions. His console flickered with encrypted data, and when he glanced toward Sinclair, she gave a subtle nod. They were gathering far more than the aliens realized. For the next hour, the Galathians belittled humanity's achievements, mocking Earth's art, culture, and technology with relentless arrogance. Each comment stung, but Sinclair knew that pride wouldn't win this battle. They needed something more, a way to turn this mockery into opportunity. As the alien transmission began to wind down, the Galathian spokesperson's tone shifted, becoming almost patronizing. "We will grant your species limited access to some of our less advanced outposts. Perhaps in a few thousand years you might learn to be of some use." Captain Sinclair clenched her jaw, but kept her expression neutral. "We appreciate your generosity," she replied smoothly. "Rest assured, we will make the most of this opportunity." With that, the alien ship vanished in a flash of light, leaving the Odyssey drifting alone in space. A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the crew absorbed what had just happened. They had hoped for a diplomatic welcome. Instead, they had been treated like children. The sense of humiliation was overwhelming, but beneath it all, there was something else. Determination. Captain Sinclair turned to her crew, her gaze sharp and unwavering. "Remember this moment," she said quietly. "Remember how they laughed at us, because one day we'll make them regret it." Lieutenant Patel's console beeped softly, and he looked up with a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "Captain," he said, his voice barely containing his eagerness, "I've gathered enough data from their transmissions, and there's something strange, a pattern, a frequency we've never seen before." Dr. Lee leaned in, her scientific curiosity rekindled. "What kind of pattern?" Patel's eyes sparkled with the hint of a discovery. "It matches some of the theories we've been working on, dimensional phase manipulation. If we understand this, we could leapfrog centuries of technological development." Captain Sinclair's lips curled into a small, dangerous smile. The aliens had just handed humanity a gift, and they didn't even realize it. She straightened, her eyes gleaming with purpose. "Set a course for Earth," she ordered. "Maximum speed." As the Odyssey turned toward home, Captain Sinclair's mind raced with possibilities. The Galathians thought they had dismissed humanity, but they had made a grave mistake, because something was coming, and when it arrived, the galaxy would never laugh at humanity again. The Odyssey hurtled through the darkness of space, its engines burning hot as the crew raced back toward Earth. In the silence of the bridge, the crew exchanged quiet glances, still carrying the weight of the Galathians' condescension. But beneath their humiliation burned something more, a resolve to prove them wrong. Captain Sinclair leaned forward in her chair, her mind already plotting their next steps. "Lieutenant Patel, how far along are we with that frequency analysis?" Patel, focused on the data streaming across his console, gave a quick nod. "It's strange, Captain. It's not just a frequency, it's an encoded signal layered across dimensions." Dr. Lee leaned closer to his screen, intrigued. "Are you saying it's a dimensional manipulation key?" Patel nodded, his voice quick with excitement. "Exactly. If I'm right, it's a code, possibly the kind that activates something hidden, and it's tied to Earth's solar system." Captain Sinclair straightened. "What kind of something are we talking about?" Patel hesitated. "It's hard to say, but if my readings are correct, it's not just a passive signal, it's a dormant system waiting to be triggered." The thought settled like a heavy stone on the crew. If the Galathians knew this, they had dismissed it, or perhaps worse, they had missed it entirely. Either way, humanity had stumbled upon a secret. Sinclair's brow furrowed. "Patch this through to Earth Command. They need to know about this immediately." Patel's fingers danced across the console as he transmitted the findings, and within minutes, the Odyssey's comms lit up with an urgent response. The Prime Minister of the Global Defense Council appeared on the main screen, his expression tense. "Captain Sinclair," he said without preamble, "we've been monitoring your situation. Earth Command has reviewed the signal you uncovered." He paused, as if struggling to find the words. "We believe you've found something called the Chimera." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. The Chimera was a name only spoken in whispers and rumors, a mythical black ship said to have disappeared centuries ago, before Earth even entered the space race. Sinclair's heart raced. "You're telling me the Chimera is real?" The Prime Minister gave a solemn nod. "Real, and much more advanced than anything we've built since. It was humanity's first attempt at dimensional technology. A vessel designed to operate between planes of existence. But it disappeared without a trace. Until now." Dr. Lee shook her head in disbelief. "You're saying the ship has been sitting dormant this entire time?" "Yes," the Prime Minister confirmed, "and it seems the signal you intercepted is some sort of reactivation trigger. If we're right, the Chimera has been waiting for humanity to reach this moment, waiting for us to find it." Sinclair exhaled slowly, her mind racing with possibilities. A lost ship, hidden in the folds of space, a relic of human ingenuity far ahead of its time, now awakened just when they needed it most. "Where is it?" Sinclair asked, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "The signal leads to the far side of Neptune's orbit," the Prime Minister replied. "We've dispatched stealth probes, and they confirm something's there. It's massive. We need you to investigate, Captain. Find out what condition the Chimera is in, and if it can still be used." Sinclair gave a sharp nod. "Understood. We're on our way." The journey to Neptune's orbit was swift and tense, with the crew running on adrenaline and anticipation. The Odyssey's sensors locked onto the coordinates provided by Earth Command, revealing a massive object nestled in the darkness, its outline barely visible against the black void. "Is that?" Dr. Lee whispered, her voice trailing off. Captain Sinclair stared at the image on the screen, her breath catching in her throat. There it was, the Chimera, a sleek obsidian vessel, its surface smooth as glass and humming with untapped energy. It looked ancient, yet untouched by time, as though it had been waiting for someone to find it. "Bring us in closer," Sinclair ordered, her voice low and measured. As the Odyssey approached the Chimera, its sensors began to malfunction, overwhelmed by the strange energy radiating from the black ship. Glowing symbols, alien yet familiar, ran along its surface, pulsing with life, as if the ship were waking from a long slumber. "This thing isn't just a ship," Patel whispered. "It's alive in a way, Or at least, it's something more than just technology. Sinclair clenched her fists. Prepare a boarding team. We need to get on board and see what we're dealing with. Stepping onto the Chimera's hull was like entering another world. The ship was eerily silent, yet it hummed with a strange energy, as if it were observing its visitors. Lights flickered to life as the team made their way through the cavernous corridors, an intricate maze of black metal and glowing veins, pulsing in time with the crew's footsteps. Dr. Lee ran her hand along the wall, feeling the strange warmth radiating from it. This metal. It's not from Earth. It's not from anywhere we know, Patel added, scanning the structure. It's like the ship exists between dimensions. Parts of it are shifting, phasing in and out of our reality. As they delved deeper into the ship, they reached what appeared to be the main control room, a vast chamber with glowing orbs suspended in the air, their surfaces shimmering with ancient data. The room seemed to react to their presence, lighting up as they approached the central console. Sinclair motioned for Patel to connect his device to the console. See what you can access. We need to know if this thing can still fly. Patel worked quickly, his fingers moving with precision. It's incredible, Captain. The systems are ancient, but still functional. This ship isn't just capable of flight, it's capable of folding space and dimensions. Sinclair's heart pounded. The Galathians had no idea what was hidden in Earth's solar system. Suddenly the room trembled, and the walls pulsed with a warning light. The Chimera was waking up. "Captain," Patel said urgently, "we've got incoming. The Galathians. They've found us." Sinclair's jaw tightened. "How long until the ship is operational?" "Minutes," Patel replied. "Maybe less if the systems align correctly." A soft hum filled the room, and the symbols along the walls began to pulse faster, like a heartbeat. The Chimera, as if sensing the imminent danger, was responding to its new crew. Sinclair's gaze hardened. "Everyone, strap in. If the Galathians want a fight, they'll get one." The black ship shuddered as its engines roared to life, and the crew felt the strange sensation of space warping around them. As the Chimera rose from its slumber, Captain Sinclair couldn't help but smile. The Galathians thought humanity was a joke. They had no idea what was coming for them. With a lurch, the Chimera disengaged from its dormant state and shot into the void, leaving Neptune's orbit far behind. Sinclair's heart raced as they prepared for their next move. Humanity had found its weapon, a hidden ship with capabilities beyond anything the aliens could imagine. "Let's show the Galathians what a real ship can do," Sinclair whispered, her eyes gleaming with determination. The Chimera streaked through the dark void, faster than any human ship had ever traveled. Its black hull shimmered, phasing in and out of dimensions like a ghost. The crew felt both exhilarated and disoriented as the strange vessel responded to their presence, its ancient systems pulsing with barely contained energy. Captain Sinclair sat at the Chimera's helm, fingers steady on the controls. Every movement felt intuitive, as if the ship itself was guiding her. "Lieutenant Patel," she called out, her voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's engines. "What's the status on the Galathians?" Patel's hands flew over the console. "Their flagship is holding position near Neptune. We've got a smaller advance squad heading straight for us. ETA 3 minutes. Sinclair's eyes narrowed. "They didn't expect us to leave the solar system, and they sure as hell don't expect us to fight back." Patel gave a tight grin. "Their sensors probably think we're just a drifting wreck. No way they'll see us coming." The crew braced themselves. They weren't just flying to avoid a fight. They were about to make the first strike. The alien squadron entered Chimera's scanner range, their sleek crystalline ships moving in perfect formation. On board, Galathian commanders watched their screens with bored amusement. "Human technology. So primitive," one of the commanders muttered. This will be over in seconds. But then the Chimera materialized from nothing, emerging from dimensional space like a predator pouncing from the shadows. On the Odyssey's bridge, Dr. Lee gasped. They never saw us coming. The Chimera's weapons, dormant for centuries, sprang to life, energy cannons roaring as they lanced through the darkness. Explosions rippled across the void as the Galathian ships were shredded in moments, their sleek hulls collapsing under the force of ancient weaponry. "Direct hits!" Patel shouted, excitement crackling in his voice. "They're not even returning fire!" The Galathians had been caught off guard, and now they were scrambling. Their fleet commander barked orders, trying to regroup, but the Chimera was relentless, moving through space with surgical precision. Sinclair grinned, the rush of battle sparking adrenaline in her veins. Let's give them a reason to be scared. The Chimera launched dimensional pulses, waves of energy that rippled through time and space. The Galathian ships staggered as their systems overloaded, lights flickering and engines stuttering. On the enemy flagship, the commander slammed a fist against his console. Impossible! They shouldn't have this technology. But it wasn't just technology, it was the Chimera itself, alive and adapting, twisting space around it to outmaneuver the alien ships. The Galathians had underestimated humanity for the last time. Back on the Chimera's bridge, the crew was stunned by the ease of their victory. Did we just wipe out an entire Galathian squadron? Dr. Lee asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. Captain Sinclair gave a satisfied nod. I told you, they never saw us coming. As the last enemy ship disintegrated into debris, a heavy silence fell over the bridge. But it wasn't the silence of defeat. It was the calm before the storm. Patel's console beeped urgently. Captain, we've got incoming. Their flagship just deployed reinforcements. Big ones. Sinclair leaned forward, her jaw tightening. Let's see what they've got. The main display lit up, showing dozens of alien ships pouring into the sector. Fighters, bombers, and massive cruisers bristling with weapons. They're not messing around this time, Dr. Lee muttered. Sinclair's gaze hardened. Neither are we. The Chimera roared toward the incoming fleet, its black hull glowing with untapped energy. Sinclair guided the ship through the chaos, weaving between enemy fire with eerie precision. Every twist and turn felt like an extension of her own will, as if the Chimera was bonded to her thoughts. Alien cruisers fired plasma lances, but the Chimera blinked out of existence, phasing between dimensions to avoid the blasts. Dr. Lee's eyes widened as she watched the ship defy physics. It's not just a ship, it's something more, Sinclair grinned. It's ours, that's what it is. The Chimera's weapons hummed to life, and with a flick of Sinclair's hand, the ship launched a volley of energy torpedoes. The torpedoes phased through shields, striking at the very heart of the enemy vessels. Explosions blossomed across the void as ships were torn apart, their fragments drifting lifelessly in the dark. But the Galathians weren't finished. Their flagship, a massive crystalline dreadnought, charged toward the Chimera, weapons blazing. "Incoming fire!" Patel shouted. The Chimera shuddered under the onslaught, its shields flickering. But instead of retreating, Sinclair pushed the ship forward, diving straight into the heart of the enemy formation. "Captain, what are you doing?" Dr. Lee cried out. Sinclair's eyes gleamed with determination. "Ending this!" With a surge of power, the Chimera phased inside the enemy flagship, slipping through its hull like a ghost. Alarms blared as Galathian crew members scrambled in confusion, but it was already too late. "Release the dimensional charge," Sinclair ordered. A pulse of energy radiated from the Chimera's core, disrupting every system on board the alien flagship. Lights flickered, engines failed, and weapons went offline as the massive ship drifted, powerless. "Status?" Sinclair asked, her voice calm. Patel checked the readings, then grinned. "Flagship neutralized. They're dead in the water." As the remaining Galathian ships fled, The Chimera drifted silently in the void, victorious. Captain Sinclair exhaled slowly, the weight of the battle finally settling on her shoulders. They had done the impossible. They had faced the most advanced fleet in the galaxy and won. The comms crackled to life. "Captain Sinclair, this is Earth Command. We're receiving reports from across the sector. The Galathians are pulling back. Whatever you did, it's working." Sinclair allowed herself a small smile. "Tell them the Chimera is back, and we're just getting started." But even as the crew celebrated their victory, a sense of unease lingered in the air. The Galathians wouldn't take this defeat lightly, and whatever secrets the Chimera held, they had only scratched the surface. Sinclair leaned back in her chair, her mind already racing with possibilities. The battle was over, but the war was far from finished. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. "We need to prepare for what's coming." As the Chimera slipped into the folds of space, Captain Sinclair knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now, with the Chimera in their hands, they were about to change everything. The Chimera emerged from the folds of space, gliding smoothly toward Earth. On board, Captain Sinclair stood at the helm, her mind still racing. They had won the first battle, but the Galathians wouldn't stay in retreat for long. If they wanted to stand a chance against what was coming, they needed answers, and those answers were hidden within the Chimera's ancient systems. "How's the ship holding up?" Sinclair asked Patel, who was busy running diagnostics. Patel tapped on his console. "Structural integrity is stable, but some of the systems are still evolving. It's like the ship is changing itself to fit us, piece by piece." Dr. Lee furrowed her brow. "This thing is more than just advanced tech. It's like it's alive in some way." Sinclair glanced at the dimly glowing runes along the walls of the ship's command deck. "I need to know exactly what we're dealing with here. Patel, can you decode more of the Chimera's interface?" Patel grinned. "Already working on it, Captain. If these ancient systems are hiding anything, we'll dig it out." Hours melted into days as the Chimera floated in a secure Earth orbit. The crew worked tirelessly, decrypting fragments of data buried within the ship's core. One night, Patel's console beeped with an alert. His eyes widened. "Captain, you're going to want to see this." Sinclair and Dr. Lee gathered around Patel's station, where ancient star charts and glyphs danced across the screen. "This ship wasn't just built to travel through space," Patel whispered. "It was designed to manipulate dimensions. It can create rifts, fold reality, even disrupt time." Sinclair leaned in, her pulse quickening. "You're saying it's a weapon?" Patel shook his head. "Not just a weapon, it's a safeguard. The Chimera was built as a last resort, a way to fight off something worse than the Galathians." Lee's voice was a hushed whisper. What could be worse than the Galathians? The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The answer was buried deep within the Chimera's fragmented data. Patel sifted through more encrypted files, sweat beading on his forehead as ancient glyphs flickered across the screen. "There," Patel muttered, highlighting a symbol. This is it." The translation came through, sending chills down their spines. "The Devourer." Sinclair's stomach tightened. What the hell is the Devourer? Dr. Lee scanned the decoded files. "It's not just a threat, it's a cosmic anomaly, an entity that feeds on dimensions, collapsing space and time in its wake, entire galaxies swallowed whole." Patel looked grim. "And it's coming. Soon." Sinclair stepped back, the weight of the revelation settling over her like a cold wave. They had thought the Galathians were their greatest enemy, but now she realized that the Chimera had returned not just to fight them. It had come to prepare humanity for something far worse. The bridge was silent as the crew processed what they had learned. Then Sinclair straightened, her jaw set with determination. "We need to take control of the Chimera. If we're going to survive what's coming, we need to learn how to use this ship's full power. Patel nodded. I think I can access the deeper systems, but it's going to take time. There are fail-safes I've never seen before. If I push too hard, the whole ship could lock us out. Do whatever it takes, Sinclair ordered. We don't have time to be careful. As Patel worked, the Chimera's systems pulsed with a strange, ancient awareness. Glyphs shifted and rearranged, as if the ship was watching them, testing them. Dr. Lee stared at the glowing runes, her mind racing. It's like the Chimera is deciding whether we're worthy, she murmured. Sinclair frowned. Worthy of what? Patel looked up from his console. Control. Suddenly, the ship's systems came alive, lights flaring as if the Chimera had made its choice. A low hum filled the command deck, and the crew staggered as the ship began to move, on its own. Captain, we've got movement, Patel shouted. The Chimera is engaging the engines. Sinclair gripped the armrest of her chair. Where the hell is it taking us? Dr. Lee scanned the readings. It's locking onto something deep within the solar system, coordinates we've never charted. Sinclair's heart raced. A hidden location? What the hell are we about to find? The Chimera streaked through space, faster than thought, its ancient engines humming with power. As they neared the mysterious coordinates, the sensors picked up something massive, a hidden structure, long dormant and buried deep in the blackness of space. It looks like a station, Dr. Lee whispered, built by the same civilization that created the Chimera. The ship glided silently toward the structure, docking with a hiss of ancient mechanisms. Lights flickered to life inside the station as the Chimera's systems connected to it, activating something that had been asleep for eons. The crew cautiously disembarked, stepping into the vast, dimly lit halls of the ancient station. Glyphs glowed faintly on the walls, and the air felt charged with untapped energy. It's like a control center, Dr. Lee whispered, her voice reverent. At the heart of the station, they found what looked like a command chamber. In its center was a massive console, surrounded by holographic projections of star maps, dimensional rifts, and something else. Sinclair stepped forward, her heart pounding as she stared at the projection. That's the Devourer. The image showed a swirling mass of dark energy, a vortex consuming everything in its path. This station wasn't just built to control the Chimera, Patel said quietly. It was built to fight the Devourer. This is the key to stopping it. Sinclair turned to her crew, her expression grim but determined. Then we're not just fighting the Galathians, we're fighting for the survival of everything. Back on the Chimera, Patel finished the final decryption, unlocking the ship's core systems. Captain, he said, his voice hushed with awe, the Chimera is ready. Sinclair stood tall, the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. They had unlocked the secrets of an ancient power, and now they had the tools to fight back against both the Galathians and the Devourer. She looked out into the endless black of space, her heart steady. It's time, she said quietly. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can really do. The Chimera hovered silently in orbit above Earth, its ancient systems thrumming with new life. Captain Sinclair and her crew had unlocked the ship's secrets, but the clock was ticking. The Galathians, humiliated by their retreat, were regrouping, and deep in the far reaches of space, the Devourer stirred. Time was running out, and humanity's final gamble was about to begin. Sinclair stood on the Chimera's bridge, gazing at the glowing tactical displays. A transmission crackled through. The Galathian fleet was on the move. Hundreds of warships were converging toward Earth, determined to crush humanity once and for all. How long until they arrive? Sinclair asked calmly. Less than 12 hours, Patel replied, typing furiously. They're pulling out all the stops. If we don't act fast, it's game over. Sinclair took a deep breath. We need to use the Chimera now, while they're still vulnerable. Lieutenant Patel grimaced. Captain, even with what we've learned, this ship is barely under control. If we push it too hard, the Chimera might turn on us. Sinclair's gaze didn't waver. We don't have a choice. The crew worked around the clock, preparing the Chimera for its most dangerous mission yet. They would have to fold space and attack the Galathian fleet before it reached Earth. Dr. Lee's hands trembled as she configured the ship's dimensional systems. "This is madness," she muttered. "We're flying blind. We still don't fully understand how the Chimera's technology works. Madness is all we've got," Sinclair replied grimly, placing a reassuring hand on Lee's shoulder. "And it's better than waiting to be wiped out." Patel's console beeped. "We've got it. The Chimera's rift drive is ready. We can jump straight into the heart of the Galathian fleet." Sinclair turned to her crew. "This is it. We hit them fast, disrupt their formation and cripple their flagship. If we can show them that they can't break us, the Galathians will fold." The bridge fell silent as the weight of Sinclair's words sank in. This mission wasn't just about survival. It was about proving, once and for all, that humanity wasn't to be underestimated. "Prepare for jump," Sinclair ordered. "Let's finish this." The Chimera shimmered, its ancient systems humming as the rift drive activated. The ship tore through space, folding dimensions like paper. The next moment, the Chimera materialized directly within the heart of the Galathian armada. "Targets acquired!" Patel shouted, his hands flying across the controls. The tactical display lit up with hostile ships. Galathian warships surrounded them on all sides, weapons charging. Sinclair didn't flinch. "Engage the disruptor array. Scramble their systems." Dr. Lee activated the Chimera's ancient disruptor field, sending waves of dimensional energy rippling through the fleet. Galathian ships flickered and faltered, their weapons systems shorting out as the Chimera bent reality around them. The Galathians responded with fury, unleashing a barrage of plasma and railgun fire. The Chimera danced through the chaos, its movements impossibly fluid, as if the ship anticipated every attack before it happened. "Direct hit on their flagship," Patel yelled. "Their formation is breaking." Sinclair's heart raced. They were winning. The Galathians, so proud, so certain of their superiority, were crumbling. But victory wasn't assured yet. A warning alarm blared across the Chimera's bridge. "Incoming dimensional anomaly," Dr. Lee shouted, her face pale. It's the Devourer. It's here." The tactical display glitched and warped as the Devourer tore through space, an enormous vortex of blackened energy consuming everything in its path. The Galathian ships turned and fled in terror, abandoning the battle as the Devourer's swirling maw loomed closer. "Captain," Patel whispered, "it's coming straight for us." Sinclair's mind raced. The Chimera was powerful, but it wasn't invincible. If they stayed, they'd be consumed along with everything else. But if they ran, Earth would be defenseless. "Options," she barked. Patel hesitated. We could use the Chimera to create a dimensional counter-rift, but it's never been done before. If we mess up..." Sinclair interrupted him. "If we don't try, we're all dead. Do it." The Chimera's systems hummed as Patel activated the dimensional rift generator. The ship trembled, energy coursing through its core. Time seemed to stretch and contract as the Chimera began to weave a counter-rift, drawing power from the Devourer's own energy field. "Hold steady!" Sinclair shouted, gripping the armrest of her chair as the ship shuddered violently. "We've only got one shot at this." The Chimera's hull groaned under the strain, warning klaxons blaring as the ship teetered on the brink of collapse. Reality itself seemed to fracture, colors shifting in ways no human mind could fully comprehend. "It's working!" Dr. Lee gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. "The counter-rift is forming!" For a moment, it seemed as though the Chimera might succeed. The swirling maw of the Devourer slowed, its pull weakening as the counter-rift took hold. But then the ship's systems began to fail. Panels exploded, sparks flying as the ancient machinery buckled under the pressure. "Rift integrity dropping," Patel shouted. "We're not going to make it." Sinclair's jaw tightened. They were so close. She refused to let it end like this. "Divert everything to the rift generator," she ordered. "Life support, shields, everything." The Chimera groaned under the strain, its systems pushed to their absolute limit. The counter-rift surged with power, locking onto the Devourer's vortex and dragging it inward. The bridge trembled as the two forces collided, the Devourer and the Chimera locked in a deadly dance. The ship's lights flickered, the air growing thin as life support failed. Sinclair's vision blurred, but she held fast, her hands gripping the controls. Just a little more, with a final deafening roar, the Devourer collapsed inward, consumed by the counter-rift. The Chimera shuddered violently, and then everything went still. Silence fell over the bridge. For a moment, no one dared to breathe. Then Patel let out a shaky laugh. We did it," he whispered. "We stopped it." Sinclair slumped back in her chair, exhaustion washing over her. They had won, not just against the Galathians, but against the Devourer itself. Dr. Lee let out a breathless laugh. "I can't believe it. We actually did it." As the Chimera drifted in the quiet void, the crew stared out at the stars in stunned silence. They had saved Earth and the galaxy, and they had done it on their terms, with courage, ingenuity, and grit. "Captain," Patel said softly, "incoming transmission from Earth. They're calling it a miracle." Sinclair smiled, exhaustion tugging at the corners of her mouth. "It's not a miracle," she whispered. "It's humanity." The Chimera turned toward Earth, its ancient systems slowly coming back online. As they glided toward their home planet, Sinclair knew that things would never be the same. They had unlocked the secrets of a lost ship, faced down impossible odds, and proved to the galaxy that humanity could not be broken. "Set a course for home," Sinclair ordered, her voice steady. "We've got a lot to tell them." And with that, the Chimera, a ship once lost to time, made its way back to Earth, carrying a story that would be remembered for generations to come, a story of defiance, of courage, and of a species that refused to be underestimated. In the aftermath of their victory, the galaxy would come to recognize humanity not just as survivors, but as pioneers, bold explorers with the power to change the fate of entire worlds. And as Captain Sinclair stood at the helm of the Chimera, she knew that this was only the beginning. The stars were calling, and humanity was ready.